So now we are done with the cost of equity. We will later on weigh that to the proportion to equity, and then we arrive at the weighted cost of equity. We will add the weighted cost of equity to the weighted cost of debt to arrive at the weighted average cost of capital. So we can begin with our capital structure. So in this case, we could go to the control panel. Let's just grab the target capital structure of 5% to 10% for the debt. Switch back to our WACC and just paste that here. Let's make sure that we remove the borders. So we have that set up. And then we can now determine the proportion of equity, which is we take 1 and we deduct whatever is remaining from the proportion of debt. And we can fill this right. Let's Control R. To now estimate the total debt to equity, we take the proportion of debt, we divide that by, so our leverage multiple is at 0.1 times. So just for reference, as we can see here, let us bring in the current capital structure for Amazon. So let us go to the comps tab and let us grab equity, copy that, let us switch back to the WACC analysis, let us paste that market cap here. EX. Let us switch, go to the comps tab, make sure that we reference that. And we can also reference the total debt. And then we can calculate the debt to equity based on that. So we can see that we arrive at the total debt to equity of 0.1 times, which is exactly our estimate here for the target capital structure. So we can see that we are doing it right. So if we take 5% as the proportion of debt in a very low case and 10% in a very high case, and then we can see that the proportion of debt to equity arrives at 0.1 times, which is equivalent to whatever we did in our current capital structure for our comparable company analysis. So 0.1 times. So what we want to do now, as we can see, if we scroll here to the debt to capital comps analysis, we can see that for the average is approximately 9.3, and for the median is approximately 7.9. And we can see that the proportion of debt is approximately 5% to 10%. So we can see that we are within that range of 5 to 10%, because we have here 7.9 for the median and we have the average 9.3, so it's within 5 to 10%. So we can see that we are accounting for the target capital structure right. So taking into account the proportion of debt to equity based on comparable company analysis is a very good thing to find in our model. So having that set up now, we can bring in the pre-tax cost of debt to estimate the after-tax cost of debt. So we will be seeing the tax shield here kicking in. So the interest tax savings, we'll see that here kicking in. So it's going to be equal to underscore interest rate. And then for the tax, it's going to be equal to underscore tax rate, which we already named a while ago in our name manager. So the after-tax cost of debt is going to be equal to take the pre-tax cost of debt and we multiply that by 1 minus our tax rate. So we have the after-tax cost of debt of approximately 1.6% or 2%. So we have that set up there. And then to account for the variables that we will use to estimate the cost of equity, we could just switch to our control panel tab. We can link here to the risk-free rate. Make sure that we begin with the low. Switch to the control panel tab. Begin from the risk-free rate. We can fill this right with Control R. We can fill it down to the company specific risk premium with Control D. So we have that set up there. So with these variables available, we can be able to estimate the levered equity beta. So the levered equity beta, as we said before,